Have you ever noticed how the very best things in life often come exquisitely wrapped in discomfort?
Hmm, that's a great way to put it.
Think about it, those first heavy steps of a run, the raw, persistent burn in your lungs when you're pushing the pace, or that deep, undeniable ache in your calves cresting a hill.
Yeah, those moments we say we hate.
Exactly. Moments we complain about to anyone who listen. And yet, with this almost baffling, unyielding consistency, we seek them out again and again. Are these challenges, these sucky things, truly just obstacles? Or are they maybe doorways?
Doorways to something else entirely.
Right. To become the runner you aspire to be, the one finding deep meaning, not just fleeting satisfaction, must you first embrace the messy, the painful, the demanding, and yeah, the paradoxically joyful act of running itself.
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It gets right to the core.
Welcome, everyone, to the Runner's Paradox podcast. This isn't just about splits and mileage. This is a dedicated series crafted to with the deep, transformative insights of the Runner's Paradox book to vivid life.
Yeah, we're pushing way beyond its pages here. We're diving into the latest cutting-edge research, compelling real-life stories, and some pretty profound philosophical reflections, too. Connecting the dots, really.
And today, our focus narrows onto Chapter 3 of the Runner's Paradox. It's very fittingly titled, The Greatest Sucky Thing.
Couldn't be more apt.
Our mission in this deep dive is to unravel those inherent, often perplexing contradictions woven right into the fabric of running. Those times when embracing pain, struggle, discomfort can, well, against all common sense, lead us to our greatest joy, our biggest transformations.
It's kind of mind-bending when you stop and think about it.
It truly is quite the reflection, isn't it? When you step back, it's inherently illogical that we willingly, even eagerly, subject ourselves to this self-imposed struggle. Think about your own experience.
Oh, yeah.
We complain, sometimes quite loudly, about those daunting long distances, the jarring early morning alarms, or just the sheer, undeniable, bone-deep effort of a tough workout.
Only to wake up the next morning, tie those laces with that, almost ritualistic determination.
And head right back out the door, drawn by some invisible force.
It's baffling. From a purely rational standpoint, it looks utterly illogical, maybe even a little masochistic.
Right. I've seen countless runners, and I've been one myself, pushed to utter absolute exhaustion at a marathon finish line. Barely able to stand, muscles screaming.
Lungs on fire. The whole deal.
And then, before the ache is even faded, before the lactic acid's cleared, we're pulling out our phones, looking at race calendars, signing up for another one. What is going on there?
Well, what's going on, I think, at its core, is a recognition that running is, as the book puts it so well, the greatest rewarding struggle around.
The greatest rewarding struggle. I like that.
It's an activity that doesn't just produce feelings one after another. It actively generates intense, often contradictory emotions, sometimes at the exact same time.
Like joy and pain in the same stride.
Exactly. That sharp pang of physical pain coexisting with this expansive, almost boundless surge of joy. Or think about the starting line, that mix of nerves and uncertainty.
Yeah, definitely feel that.
Or the crushing despair of a really tough mile, just dissolving into pure, unadulterated exhilaration when you finally cross that finish line. They intertwine, creating this incredibly rich tapestry of experience.
It is a powerful push-pull. And this complex dynamic leads us to a really fascinating question. Why do we call something a sucky thing when it transforms us so profoundly? If the outcome is so positive, why frame the process so negatively?
It's a curious linguistic framing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We tend to label the immediate sensation of effort or discomfort as something bad, something to avoid.
Right, the suck.
But actually, the discomfort, the difficulty, it isn't just a side effect of running. It seems to be a fundamental prerequisite for the deep personal growth it offers. It's like necessary friction.
Necessary friction for polishing the self.
Exactly. An abrasive but essential force for revealing something stronger, more resilient underneath. We see it as a barrier, but maybe it's the actual mechanism of transformation.
And what a polish it is. Think about crossing that finish line. Your face might be a grimace. To an onlooker, it looks like pure agony. Suffering, right.
But then, as you surge across that line, that raw, visceral, physical pain somehow transmutes into pure euphoria. It's not just sensation changing, it's deeper.
It truly does. It's more than fleeting. It's this deeply private reminder of your determination, a tangible testament to inner strength, a personal victory that totally transcends the numbers on your watch.
It's where inner struggle becomes external triumph.
Precisely. But this profound connection between demand and uplift does raise a critical point about the double-edged nature of suffering. We need to be clear. It's not about seeking suffering for its own sake.
No, definitely not glorifying pointless pain.
Right. It's about recognizing its often unavoidable role as a catalyst for profound change and unexpected, deeply satisfying joy, finding meaning within it, not just enduring it.
That makes perfect sense. And speaking of things that defy simple logic, let's unpack some of these biomechanical paradoxes. These really highlight how complex running is. Yeah, they're like these scientific tensions that expose the limits of just looking at running in a purely reductionist way. It's a complex, adaptive system, our bodies in motion.
And these paradoxes show the counterintuitive ways our bodies interact with the sport. They really challenge common assumptions.
Absolutely. The first one is fascinating, the cushioning paradox.
Right.
Recent research, like from Malisoux and Theisen, highlights this, the core contradiction. Shoes designed to soften impact, max-cushion shoes.
Yeah, the super plush ones.
They can actually lead to stiffer biomechanics in the foot and lower leg, and paradoxically, maybe even a heightened injury risk.
Wait, hang on. So the very thing meant to protect us might make us more vulnerable? That feels completely backwards, like a safety net that trips you. How does that work?
It's a classic case of comfort not equaling protection, mechanically speaking. Our bodies are exquisitely designed, evolved to receive and process a certain level of ground stimulus.
Our feet have all those nerve endings, proprioceptors.
Millions of them, feeding vital information back to the brain about the ground, balance forces. When we mute that natural stimulus with too much cushioning, we might be disrupting our body's inherent protective responses, overriding its natural wisdom, essentially.
How so?
Well, a supercushioned shoe might reduce the initial peak impact force, sure, but it can also cause us to land with, say, a straighter knee or a more rigid ankle because the body isn't getting the feedback it needs to naturally dampen the load. It kind of disengages our built-in shock absorbers.
So if we're always chasing that pillowy soft landing, always looking for max comfort, this raises a big question. Are we measuring what matters when we track external impacts? Those peak vertical ground reaction forces labs talk about?
It's a critical question.
Maybe the pursuit of comfort in shoes, while appealing, inadvertently undermines our body's natural resilience, prevents it from doing its job.
It's a profoundly relevant question, and it leads right into the next paradox. The economy versus gait paradox. This comes from work by Stern and others.
Okay, what's this one?
This paradox highlights that actively altering a runner's natural gait, say, forcing a heel striker to become a forefoot striker, even with the intention of improving running economy.
Using less energy, right?
Right. Using less energy at a given pace, it actually carries a significant risk of injury during that often lengthy and awkward adaptation phase.
So even if a lab study shows forefoot striking might use marginally less energy for some people, forcing that change on everyone could do more harm than good. It's not a universal fix.
Precisely. Studies do show differences in power distribution, and some individuals can improve economy with a gait change. But the crucial point is the vast inter-individual variability. There's no single gait that optimizes economy for everyone.
Makes sense. We're all built differently.
Exactly. And forcing a fundamental change to an ingrained pattern without proper gradual adaptation and without addressing underlying strength or mobility issues, well, it can definitely lead to new problems. Achilles issues, calf strains, stress fractures even. You're loading tissues in ways they just aren't prepared for.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. The cost of adaptation might outweigh the potential benefit for many.
That's the risk, yeah.
Okay. And then there's the master runner paradox. This one's from Robinson and Fleck and others. This sounds intriguing for runners of a certain vintage, like myself.
Yeah, indeed. It's another fascinating one. As runners age, they paradoxically tend to preserve their running economy remarkably well.
Meaning,
older runners can remain incredibly efficient in how they use energy to move forward. They often burn fuel at a very similar rate to younger athletes for the same pace.
okay, so that sounds like good news, right? We might slow down, but we're still efficient with our fuel.
It is, on the surface, however.
Yeah.
This preserved efficiency often comes hand in hand with an increased injury risk.
Ah, there's the catch.
There is the catch. It's due to the natural reduction in tissue resilience, tendon elasticity, and diminished recovery capacity that comes with aging.
So the contradiction is we move maybe less efficiently mechanically, like shorter stride, less spring.
Right. But we burn fuel just as efficiently. It highlights that preserved economy doesn't equal preserved resilience. Your engine's still tuned, maybe, but the chassis is getting a bit more brittle.
Challenging reality. A difficult pill to swallow, as they say.
It is. And adding to these counterintuitive findings is the propulsion paradox, explored recently by Cram and Arellano. This challenges a really deeply ingrained belief about running.
Okay, what belief is that?
The belief that we actively push ourselves forward, primarily with our muscles, especially calves and quads. New insights suggest passive elastic mechanisms. Think tendons and fascia acting like springs and gravitational pull actually dominate forward propulsion.
So it's more bouncing and falling gracefully than powerful pushing.
In large part, yes. Active muscular push-off seems to contribute far less than traditionally assumed. The paradox. We train muscles to push us forward, but nature relies more on springs and gravity, an elegant economy hidden beneath what feels like brute force.
Wow. So much training, especially rehab or performance coaching, emphasizes heavy calf and quad strengthening for propulsion. If it's more about passive elasticity and gravity, are we overemphasizing the wrong thing?
That's a great question the research raises. And real-world injury data often fails to show consistent links between weak push-off muscles and injury risk, which kind of supports this paradox.
Interesting.
It challenges our assumptions about how we generate forward motion, suggesting we might be over-focusing on the engine when the suspension and downhill assist are doing a lot of the work.
Which brings us neatly to maybe the most encompassing paradox, the multivariate risk paradox. This is from researchers like Brigham, Blanchard, Gabbett, van der Voort.
Yeah, this one really broadens the picture and challenges any simple single-factor explanation for running injuries.
What's the core idea?
The paradox is that individual biomechanical variables, things we often focus on, like loading rate, stride length, pronation, they actually explain very little of why someone gets injured, often less than 15% in big meta-analyses. We try to pinpoint one cause, but it rarely holds up across the board.
So it's not just fixing your pronation or shortening your stride.
Rarely that simple. Instead, injury causation is profoundly multifactorial. It involves complex, non-linear interactions of numerous factors.
Like what?
Think about it. Load progression, how quickly you increase mileage or intensity, that's huge. Nutrition, are you fueled for recovery? Sleep, the absolute bedrock. And even psychological stress from work, life.
It all plays a role.
Absolutely. All these factors combine and interact in ways a single biomechanical metric just cannot predict. So we often focus on biomechanics because it's measurable, right? It gives us a sense of control.
Yeah, you can see it on video analysis.
Exactly. Yet, injury risk truly emerges from this whole ecological system, physical, psychological, social factors. It defies simple reductionist solutions. It's tough not having a clear, single, easy button for prevention or cure.
So bringing it back to our earlier question and maybe expanding it, if we're tracking external impacts or focusing on just one or two biomechanical cues, are we truly measuring what matters?
It certainly makes you wonder.
And if the causes of injury are so complex and multifaceted, perhaps the most profound rewards of running are equally intricate, extending far beyond the stopwatch. Maybe we're missing the forest for the trees by just focusing on mechanics or pace.
That's a very insightful connection. If the path to injury is a complex web, then maybe the path to reward and growth is equally, if not more, intricate.
Yeah.
And this intricacy goes beyond just biomechanics into how we learn, grow, and recover, which leads us to the paradoxes of skill, growth, and recovery.
Okay, let's start with the flow and smooth paradox. We all hear about getting into the zone, right? That smooth, effortless state where everything clicks.
The holy grail for many runners, yeah.
But this paradox suggests those effortless flow states only emerge after enduring awkward, unsmooth stages of deliberate practice and conscious effort. The zone is an outcome, a reward, not a starting point.
That's absolutely right. Achieving flow presupposes a rigorous, often painstaking process of skill acquisition. You simply have to move through stages that feel clumsy, awkward, demanding intense conscious effort before you can approach that unconscious mastery.
It reminds me of those stages of competence. Unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence.
Exactly. Conscious competence, where you can do it but have to really think. And finally, unconscious competence, where it feels automatic. Flow lives near that last stage.
And the key here is deliberate practice, isn't it? Which sounds anything but flowy. It sounds like hard work.
It is. Deliberate practice is designed to be challenging. It demands focused effort, often involves immediate, maybe uncomfortable feedback, and constantly pushing beyond your comfort zone. It's not flowy by nature.
It's gritty, demanding work.
Yeah, sometimes frustrating. That's what lays the groundwork. Flow then paradoxically occurs after that sustained, intense effort. It's the reward when your skill level finally meets the challenge. allowing that immersive focus.
So this raises a really interesting question. Can we be fully present in the sucky moments? Those awkward, effortful phases of learning that feel so difficult.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive to embrace the struggle itself.
You absolutely can, and maybe you need to for mastery. There's fascinating research showing that the effortful, awkward phase of active learning doesn't block flow. It actually enables it.
Really?
How? When people perceive they're genuinely improving, even if it's demanding, the brain's cognitive control systems become deeply engaged, and that actually supports immersive focus later on.
Mm-hmm.
It reinforces that discomfort during skill acquisition isn't just a side effect, it's a necessary component.
So being present in the struggle isn't about liking the pain, but inhabiting the process of growth, feeling the edges of your ability expand.
Precisely. It's about engaging with the process of getting better.
That's fascinating. Our brains appreciate the effort. And this idea of necessary discomfort extends right into the rest paradox. Many runners see rest as passive, right? Something you do between the real work.
Yeah, almost like a necessary evil or time off. But the paradox is that rest is not passive. It's a deliberate, active, absolutely critical component of adaptation and growth.
How so?
Well, insufficient rest leads inevitably to overtraining, breakdown, injury. We know that.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, excessive rest can dull progress and actually prevent adaptation by removing the necessary stimulus.
So there's a sweet spot.
Exactly. The contradiction lies in when growth happens. It's not during the workout itself, but in the recovery period after muscles suffer that microdamage from training. That tearing down and rebuilding stronger cycle is where progress occurs.
So it's not just about clocking miles, it's strategic recovery, making rest a priority, part of the plan. You've mentioned load management before. How does that fit in?
It's integral. Effective growth requires loading the body enough to stimulate change, but not so much that it breaks down. Finding that balance of volume, intensity, and recovery is key. Even the best coaches are still refining this.
And load isn't just miles, right?
Definitely not. Running 5 kilometers when you're fresh and stress-free is a totally different load than running 5 kilometers after a long, stressful day, sleep-deprived, mentally drained. The body processes all stress, physical, psychological, emotional, cumulatively.
And frequency matters too, I guess. Running consistently adds up.
Critically, it all contributes to cumulative load, demanding equally consistent and strategic rest.
Okay, that's a great point about cumulative stress. So given all that, can too much rest actually undermine recovery? It sounds like a really fine line.
There absolutely is a fine line. Resting too much or too passively for too long can prevent the body from getting the signal it needs to adapt. The principle of progressive overload means you need to continually challenge the system. Too long a break, and you might detrain, lose that adaptive edge.
So it's more about active recovery sometimes, light movement, good nutrition, sleep,
Yeah.
not just total couch time.
Often, yes. It's about listening deeply to your body and finding that balance needed for optimal adaptation and sustainable progress. It's an ongoing dialogue.
And connecting all this necessary discomfort to growth, it leads to a broader, more philosophical question, doesn't it? Could minimizing discomfort in our running, or maybe life generally, actually weaken us for greater challenges? Are we making ourselves less resilient by chasing comfort?
It's a truly profound thought. Intentionally engaging with discomfort in a controlled way, like in running, certainly seems to prepare us for broader life challenges. It builds physical and psychological resilience, a deeper understanding of our capabilities.
So if we constantly avoid all struggle,
We might be limiting our capacity for growth in unexpected ways. Life throws curveballs, right? If we haven't practiced navigating discomfort on the run, how will we handle it when life imposes it? It suggests embracing the sucky things builds a kind of resilience muscle that serves us far beyond the trail or track.
this definitely feels like we're moving into the philosophical territory. Let's dive right into the philosophical roots of the runner's paradox, starting with Merleau-Ponty's embodied perception.
Maurice Merleau-Ponty, the French phenomenologist, had this radical idea of the body subject. He argued, we aren't minds just piloting bodies like cars. We are bodies that think, feel, perceive. Our body isn't just an object. It's our primary way of being in the world.
How does that apply specifically to running?
Well, sustained rhythmic running often quiets that internal chatterbox, the constant planning and commentary in our heads. Neural activity shifts towards motor and sensory systems. Sensation and movement come to the foreground.
So it's not just what we do with our bodies, but how our bodies are our experience, shaping our consciousness in that moment.
Exactly. This shift creates a heightened awareness of ourselves as a coherent whole body, mind, emotions working together seamlessly. It can link us to deeper, more primal states, an almost instinctual connection with our surroundings.
You become more aware of the senses.
Deeply attuned to raw, unfiltered input. The texture of the ground, the rhythm of breath, subtle shifts in balance, air on skin. The somatic mode of attention means even mundane runs become unique, shaped moment by internal states, the environment, transient sensations. It's never just the same route. It's a perpetually new experience of being in motion, a direct dialogue.
That really reframes a simple run, makes it an act of pure presence. Okay, what about Camus and the absurd hero, Sisyphus pushing the boulder?
Right, the ancient myth of eternal, seemingly futile labor. Albert Camus, in the myth of Sisyphus, presents him not as tragic, but as the ultimate absurd hero. He embraces his struggle without any promise of resolution or escape.
He finds meaning in the struggle itself.
He finds meaning and defiance within it. The runner, like Camus's Sisyphus, sees the potential futility of avoiding discomfort if you want to achieve something difficult, yet persists anyway. Meaning isn't found in finally overcoming the challenge, but in engaging it fully, lucidly, even rebelliously, accepting the struggle as part of the deal.
So this leads to a really tough question. Is there truly beauty in suffering? Or do we just romanticize it afterward, when the pain's gone and we've constructed a heroic narrative?
That's a deep one. Camus would likely argue that genuine meaning isn't found in avoiding the struggle, nor in seeking suffering for its own sake. It's about confronting it head-on, acknowledging the external meaninglessness, the rock will roll down again, but then injecting profound personal meaning through the act of engagement.
So you find purpose in the ongoing act, the defiant choice to keep moving, not just the outcome.
Exactly. It's finding meaning within the unavoidable struggle, saying yes to the effort, not because it's easy, but because you choose to affirm your existence through it.
And this defiance, this choice, brings us to Sartre. Authentic existence. Sartre said, man is condemned to be free, right? Responsible for his choices. How does that apply here?
It connects directly to that idea of radical freedom and choice in how we respond. We aren't just passive recipients of hard runs. We choose how we engage with those sucky things.
So authentic existence is not running away from the discomfort.
Right. Not fleeing the effort or the perceived meaninglessness of a tough workout. Instead, choosing to engage with it, to create value and meaning through our actions and attitudes. Rather than passively reacting or living in bad faith, essentially pretending we don't have that freedom or responsibility, every stride in a hard run becomes an affirmation of choice.
Okay, so here's a profound one then. Do we choose the sucky thing, or does it in some way choose us? As a necessary part of growth, is it our agency, or is it fate?
That's the core of it, isn't it? While some challenges are inherent, a hill is steep, a marathon is long. Our ultimate choice lies in our attitude, our engagement. Do we resist it, wish it away, or do we embrace it as integral, shaping not just our fitness but our identity? It's not choosing whether it exists, but how we relate to it. That choice defines the experience.
And taking that one step further, what if avoiding pain, especially the self-imposed kind in running, means avoiding life itself, or at least a fuller engagement with it?
It's a powerful, maybe unsettling thought. It suggests a fundamental link between grappling with discomfort and having a deeply lived existence. If we constantly seek comfort, minimize all challenge, maybe we limit our capacity for growth, resilience, true fulfillment.
So willingly enduring chosen discomfort in running becomes practice for life's unavoidable challenges.
It could be seen that way. A philosophy of engaging fully rather than seeking constant escape, suggesting that some pain isn't just unavoidable, but maybe essential for a deeply felt existence. It's in that friction we feel alive, learn who we are.
Just a quick pause here to remind everyone that this series is rooted in the insights from the Runner's Paradox book. If these ideas resonate, you can dive much deeper and find more resources at therunnersparadox.com.
Definitely worth checking out.
Now, we've heard so many real-world stories that embody these paradoxes, haven't we? Runners finding breakthroughs by leaning into the difficulty.
Absolutely. The book shares some powerful narratives, personal experiences with injuries, for example. Those moments of frustration, limitation.
Yeah, when you feel totally broken.
Right. And how resetting the relationship with running during that time, embracing the vulnerability, the slow grind of recovery, actually led to a deeper, more authentic connection with the sport than ever before. Growth came not from avoiding pain, but from engaging with it courageously.
And there's that incredible story of Diane Van Dieren, too.
Oh yeah, amazing. After brain surgery affected her sense of time and direction, which sounds like a massive disadvantage for an ultra runner,
You'd think so.
it became her strength. She couldn't track time or distance conventionally, so she was forced to focus purely on the immediate experience, the ground, her breath, her body, not the metrics, not the overwhelming distance ahead.
She leaned into her new reality.
Exactly. Embraced the loss of those metrics, and it redefined what was possible. It unlocked this incredible endurance by making her profoundly present in each moment of effort. These stories of show breakthroughs often happen precisely when we confront and integrate the very challenges that seem to block us, finding joy, resilience, self-knowledge where we least expect it.
This all really brings us to a bigger, almost existential question about the sport itself. What's the real purpose of running? Is it performance or is it presence?
That's a central question the book pushes us towards. Is it all about faster times, longer distances, or is it about cultivating a richer sense of self-awareness, well-being, engagement with the moment?
Because if performance metrics only tell a fraction of the story,
And if the causes of injury are so complex, maybe the deepest rewards are equally intricate, extending far beyond the stopwatch into the fabric of our lives. It definitely calls for broadening our definition of success in running.
it makes you wonder too, at some point, is the runner running or has the running consumed the runner? That shift from running as just an activity to it becoming core to your identity.
It's a fascinating evolution and a powerful one, that consuming can be a source of deep meaning, purpose, structure, absolutely.
But potential pitfalls too.
Oh, for sure. If not consciously managed, it can tip into unhealthy obsession, an identity too narrowly defined by running, or relying on it too heavily for self-worth. It's a delicate balance.
And interestingly, people training for themselves, for intrinsic reasons, often seem to push into deeper discomfort.
Exactly. Because those levels offer a more profound immersion into the act itself. The line between embracing struggle healthily and becoming enslaved by it requires real self-awareness.
It's a paradox within a paradox almost.
You could say that.
So as we wrap up this exploration of Chapter 3, The Greatest Sucky Thing, it seems clear these paradoxes aren't just side notes.
No, they're woven right into the fabric. Embracing these challenges, these sucky things, doesn't just make us tougher. It leads to deeper joy, profound meaning, and unparalleled sense of accomplishment.
It really highlights that running isn't enjoyable in spite of its challenges. Often it's profoundly meaningful because of them. The experiences that push us are what forge that deeper connection.
Perhaps it's not about avoiding these demanding aspects, but learning to run with them, beside them, even because of them. As the book The Runner's Paradox puts it so beautifully, our greatest pain often leaves footprints to our greatest freedom.
I absolutely love that quote. It captures it perfectly. And that journey of self-discovery, leaning into discomfort for growth, definitely continues. Next time, we'll move into part 2 of the Runner's Paradox series, starting with Chapter 4. How do I feel when I run?
Ooh, that's a great one. What happens when we stop focusing only on metrics and start truly noticing the act itself, the immediate lived experience?
We'll explore the phenomenology of running, the textures, sensations, the feel of each step, and ask how these subtle moments might change not just how we run, but maybe how we live.
It promises to be another deep dive. And remember, this whole journey is rooted in the Runner's Paradox. You can find much more information and continue exploring at therunnersparadox.com.
Here's to finding your greatest freedom, one challenging, transforming step at a time.